So we're dividing complex numbers. So for number 1 right here, it doesn't look as bad, but the problem is we have an imaginary number on the denominator, and that's a big no-no. Last year in geometry, we did some reviewing from Algebra 1 when we had to rationalize the denominator, and that looked like this. So if you had a radical in the denominator, you had to multiply top and bottom by itself, so we would not have a radical or a square root in the denominator. And we're going to follow the same idea over here. We cannot have an imaginary number on the denominator. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by the imaginary number. So now you distribute like we did on H4 when we are multiplying the imaginary numbers. So negative 2i times I is I squared. I times I squared. And I know from my table that I squared is negative 1. So I'm going to substitute I squared with negative 1. Same thing right there for the denominator. So now here I have positive 2 on top, negative 1 on the bottom. And when you divide by negative 1, you have right there. So this should be my final answer. That 2 looks weird, but it's a 2. Now, for H3, we did complex conjugate, and you're like, oh, this is too easy. And I was like, well, we're going to use this to get rid of the imaginary number on the denominator. So here it is. So you're going to have to multiply top and bottom by its complex conjugate. And remember, the real part stays the same. The imaginary part switches its sign. Now, we're going to kind of distribute the 4 right here. So 12 minus 20i. And for the denominator, I'm going to do the box just because it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. If you want to do FOIL, do FOIL. 3, 5i, 3, negative 5i. Remember, when we're doing the box or FOIL, you're multiplying. So 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 5i, 15i. 3 times negative 5i, negative 15i. Multiply these two. 5 times 5, 25. I times I squared. Now I'm going to combine like terms right here in my little box right there. So these two are like terms. Positive 15i, take away 15i. That leaves me with 0. Now I have 9 minus 25i squared. I'm going to substitute negative 1 for I squared right there. So the top stays the same for now. So negative 1 instead of I squared. I'm going to go down here. So 12 minus 20i, 9 plus 25, because negative 25 times negative 1 is positive. 12 plus 20, my bad right here, minus 20i, 9 and 35, 25, not 35, it's 34. Now, if you were plugging this in the iExcel will say, hey, wrong. But in reality, all it wants you to do is simplify the fraction. Some of you still struggle simplifying that, so it goes 12 over 34 minus 20i over 34. And we're still not done. So use your handy dandy calculator. 12 over 34 is 6 over 17 minus 20 and 34. It's 10i over 17. Now you're ready to plug in, you can see. Now you're ready to plug in your answer on iExcel. And after you do a couple of these, you'll get the hang of it. I want to do one more. So for this one, we're going to follow the same idea that we did in number 2. The problem is the numerator is also a binomial. So we're still multiplying by its complex conjugate. So the real part stays the same. The imaginary will switch the sign. So I'm going to make 2 boxes, one for the numerator, the other one for the denominator. One I, 6, negative 6I. So this is my numerator right here. Multiply 6 and 1, 6. 6 times I. Negative 6I times 1. Negative 6I times I. I'm combining. Negative 6I, positive 6I is 0. So here I have 6 minus 6I squared. Substitute negative 1 for I squared right there. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. That gives me a 12. So all of this right here for 12. So I'm going to do the box, or if you want to do foil, for the denominator. Multiply. Multiply right there. This is a 36. It doesn't look like it, but it's a 36, negative 36. So negative 36I, positive 36I, that is 1. So 36 minus 36I squared. Substitute negative 1 for I squared. Negative 36 times negative 1 is positive 36. Add them together, 72. Oh, that doesn't look as bad. So I'm going to go back here and substitute 12, because this is all my work for the numerator right there, and I got 12, and this is all my work for the denominator right here, and I got 72. Now I can simplify the fraction. Can you imagine doing all this work and you forget to simplify? Yeah. 1 over 6. All this work to come up with 1 over 6. That's all I have for you.